Got to work on a better fade in. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? I am Justin George. Welcome to Talking About Balls. Kyle's going to be joining us late. He's traveling right now for work, so as soon as he gets situated, that's why we decided to start at 7:30. He knew he'd be really late, maybe 45-ish minutes, he said. So I said, all right, well, we'll just start at 7:30. I'll start everything off, get the show shared, and get it going with George here, and then we can kick it off. And then whenever he's in, he'll be joining us. So without further ado, thank you all for watching. We are live with Talking About Balls. We're going to do a quicker episode here, just a few little behind-the-scenes things to get out of the way. First, we will be doing our yearly tradition, because I think we deserve the break, of going to bi-weekly as soon as the football season ends, which is effective today. So we're going to be going to bi-weekly unless our schedule will be flexible, because there's obviously going to be weeks where, we can't do a show when we're supposed to, so we'll move it up. Or if there's breaking news that happens and we need to do an emergency show, we will do that, because the Browns are in a very weird, fluid situation right now of the Myles Garrett trade demands. Will they trade him? Who knows? Then on top of that, you have the draft is coming up. Free agency is getting ready to start. The combine's going to be here in a couple of weeks. So plenty of things to talk about. And again, if any emergency breaking news things happen, we'll obviously do a show and we'll keep everybody posted. But as of right now, the plan is to be bi-weekly until the football season starts in September. So that's what we do every year. Nothing new. Gives me time now, especially with the baby who's literally, let's fucked up, going to be 1 year old on Monday, the 17th, first birthday. And I'm not ready for it. Flown by. Literally feels like yesterday I was coming home from the hospital with her, and she's 1. She's standing and like fucking saying words and eats real food and like dances all the time and like fucking crazy. Oh, by the way, I posted a video yesterday of her dancing because that's just what she does. I want to emphasize and let everybody know that I haven't gone soft. Your boy JG is still the same JG that you know and love. I made the what is it called? The quote, not a quote, the caption for the video. That's the word, caption. I made the caption for the video and I put, I've never been this happy in the morning in my life. I think other people took it as me being like, oh, my mornings have never been so great. Like, no. What I meant was I fucking hate the morning and I've never been that happy like her, where she was dancing first thing in the morning. That's what I meant by that. I don't want anybody to think I went soft and I'm like, oh my God, everything's so special and butterflies and rainbows now. No, I just meant that I'm fucking miserable in the mornings is what I was trying to get at for the most part. So I want to clear the air on that. Been a busy couple of weeks, though. A little BS here for everybody. We are going to do a quick episode. We're going to try to cover everything. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, but I'm going to wait for Kyle to jump in with that. We didn't really get into a lot of BS the last couple of weeks. We did my friend Phil's 40th birthday. I had my brother-in-law's 40th birthday party last Saturday, and that was awesome. Had a great time. Watched the Super Bowl, which was cool. I've been doing a lot of reading, whether it be an audiobook or an actual book. I've been trying to read a ton. I've decided for whatever reason, the year 2025, I want to just dedicate to reading. All my spare time, I watch too much TV. I'm a couch potato. I'm trying to change things this year. So I figured reading, while I'm still sitting on the couch, it's a little different. Oh, this episode is brought to you unofficially by Michelob Ultra Gold. Pure gold. Delicious. Sorry, I'm thirsty. The one extremely disappointing thing about this beer that I didn't know, it is only, where are you? 3.8% alcohol. Kind of weak. Delicious, though. Very good. So, yeah, I want to read. So I've been trying to read. I've been listening to audiobooks because at work, what I typically do is I listen to podcasts while I sit at my desk, and I decided to turn it into audiobooks. And I feel like it's not the same as reading, but it's still, like, I love a physical book in my hand, but it is what it is. Like, I actually, before the show started, I was sitting here reading. I have the book from Lisa Marie Presley about her dad. She was writing it right before she died. It is called From Here to the Great Unknown. There he is. Kyle, what's going on? Welcome.
What's up, people?
Not much. I'm pretty good. I didn't get a message. I told George to message me when you were ready to hop on the show, and he did not do that. So it is what it is.
what we call that. The old
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. How was your travel?
I hate this drive. 4.5 hours down, and it's starting to rain, sleet, and everything. And I get here, and I didn't jump on earlier because I needed to eat something. Like I didn't eat anything all day, so I was like getting shaky. So I'm like, I had to order some food, just chow down some pasta. So now I'm good to go. So I'm fine. I'm feeling better.
Carbo load, the Michael Scott way.
So I'm gonna pass out halfway through the show. Oh man,
just downed a bunch of fettuccine Alfredo like Michael Scott in the rabies run.
30 minutes here, so bear with me.
But yeah, so that was pretty much it for me. And then I had my trip on Monday for work, which was fine. I mean, I'm so used to that trip by now. I've done it like 5 or 6 times. I just fly down to North Carolina early, get my rental car. I know exactly where I'm going. I recognize all the locations over there now. I went and visited the facility, helped them out a ton. They were super appreciative and really nice. They always are. People in the South are just super nice. And I flew home. Of course, my flight got delayed by a couple hours on Monday night, so I was supposed to get home around like 7:30. Ended up getting home at about 9, or landing, I should say, closer to 9. So I believe my parking pass said that I got there. Oh, and I'll tell you the story of how I fucked up. So my flight's at 6:30 a.m. And in my head, I'm going, okay, I want to leave here, be to the airport by 4:45 at the latest. I think that'll be good. So in my head, I'm thinking 4:45. As I get ready for bed, I set my alarms for 4:45. And I all of a sudden I wake up and it's like, I don't know, it was like 10 after 4. And I'm laying there in bed and I'm like, okay, cool. My alarm's set for 4:45. It's 4:10. I could sleep for another half hour. This is perfect. And I lay back down. I close my eyes. And then all of a sudden I start thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. I need to be there at 4:45. I can't wake up at 4:45. So I shoot out of bed. I get dressed really quick. I fucking race to the airport. Because one of the times I went on this trip, I truly didn't think I was going to make my flight. I got there 2 hours early, but the line was so fucking long and they only had one of the gates open that it was all the way to the very end of the fucking airport. So you had to go the full length of the airport just to get into the area to get checked by TSA and all that shit. And I'm always worried about that now because it was the same exact flight. So I'm like, shit, I better hope the airport's dead. Sure enough, it was. I literally walked right through fucking TSA. Like, it was easy. I was at my gate in 20 minutes. But I got lucky because I fucked up. And that would have been really embarrassing to be like, hey, I missed my flight. My bad. But I made it. And then again, flight got delayed. So I got there. I pulled into the parking garage at 4:42 and I left at, I think, 8:48 or something like that. So a nice 16-hour day was fucking exhausting. I came home and I passed out.
No, thank you. That's too much traveling in one day. That's too much.
Yeah, it sucks.
Too much.
The one good thing, though, is I stayed hourly. So I did that specifically for things like that. So if they need me to work out on the shop floor and help out, I'm getting paid time and a half overtime. And on this trip, I'm getting paid for all 16 hours of it. And half of that is time and a half. It's all overtime.
Was it worth going down there? Like, was the issue needed to be fixed in person, or is this something you could have done over the phone?
It was truthfully, I get it. It depends on where you're looking. So for me, unnecessary. It was a simple fix, very simple fix. From their perspective, though, I get it. If you're buying a product and it's not cheap, you expect it to come in good to go. Albeit not our fault. The material, long story short, we sent a bunch of skids to a facility. I won't name their names because I don't want to get fired. But they're a prominent company that makes products that get sold in like Home Depot, and like it's a big deal. And they got a bunch of our skids, came in on a truck, and the truck comes straight from Germany, or the shipping container comes from Germany. And apparently on the boat, it went through some storms, so it really like fucked it all up. So a lot of the boards were just broken on the skids. So it was pretty easy. Just if you guys just put a 4x4 where the leg is broken and just, angle the nail in, like, we call it toe nailing. I don't know what the proper term is because I'm not a fucking carpenter, but at my work, we've always called it toe nailing. So where you just, you nail on an angle. So it's not official, but it gets the job done. They could do that. They could just toe nail some boards, use all the skids. It would be fine. The material was completely fine. They didn't want to do it. Apparently over the last year, they've had some injuries and they now are very very afraid of any type of like activity that could be. It is called toenailed. All right, cool. I got it. Thank you, Bob the Builder. And
Sarah's the one to confirm that. I appreciate that's awesome.
that's what we've always called it. I didn't know if it was what you're supposed to or not, but that's what I've always called it. So all they had to do was just toenail some 4x4s on these skids, and it would have been completely fine. But they are like, their new thing is they don't want to be responsible for any injuries. Apparently, they had a couple bad ones over the last year, so I had to go like walk them through lining it all up, and we're going to have to ship it back to Cleveland so we can fix the skids, and then it's getting shipped back to them. So it is what it is. I flew down there to basically just tell them that we'll take the material back, and that was it. Honestly,
I would be so annoyed by that. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. We could have done this via like a FaceTime call or something. You know.
Well, it's funny because I landed at like 8:30. I went and got the rental car, and I left the airport at like 9 o'clock, give or take. And it's about 45 minutes to get to their facility, depending on traffic. So I get there at, I don't know, we'll say 10 o'clock. I get there at 10 o'clock, and I have to leave by 3 o'clock because at the time my flight was supposed to be at 6. So I was like, I have to leave by 3 so I have time to like grab lunch, get to the airport, drop off my rental car, and get in and check in for my flight and get to my gate. So I was like, I have to leave by 3. Next thing I know, it's like 1:30, and they're literally like, okay, well, I think we're pretty good, Justin. If you want to take off, like, we don't need you anymore. We're good. I'm just thinking in my head, like, I literally flew all the way down here just to hang out with you guys for like 4 hours. For some of the easy, like, again, it wasn't like I needed to like inspect material and like pick it up and like do anything. It was just like, hey, that skid's missing a board. You put that one in that pile. That one has both boards. Okay, you can use that skid. That was it. That was honestly what I did. Could have been done with a FaceTime.
Better than me, sir, because I would have thrown like a fucking fit. Like, this is a waste of my time.
Again,
in the air for what?
Upset is because they're so nice. I'm telling you, people in the South are just so fucking nice. Like, I have a good relationship with these people because, again, I've been down there multiple times now. So like, they're always really happy to see me, and like we talk about, like they even asked her like, how old's your daughter now? Like, they remember me, and like they're really nice. So like, it is what it is. And again, I was getting paid for the whole thing. It sucked because it was the day after the Super Bowl. I feel like if it was like a Friday, it would be cool. Because it's like, fuck it, I get a long weekend. Like, I can go home and crash. But what sucked was coming home at 9 o'clock. I jump in the shower, and then I literally walked upstairs, and I told Tara, I'm like, I'm going to lay in bed. I'm not going to sleep right away, but I want to fucking lay down. I've been sitting and standing all day. So I laid in bed, and I had to get up and go right back to work on Tuesday mornings. That's the other thing that sucked. If they were like, hey, do this day trip, take tomorrow off, paid, don't worry about it. Like, that would have been cool. Or even like a fucking half day if they were like, come in at like 11. But instead I had to get up and be right there at 7 o'clock the next day.
Boss, man, not the boss. You get bent over a table more than anyone else does.
Yeah, I'm learning that the hard way. They when I got promoted, they take more and more from you.
Nice. We took game 1. Awesome, guys. We're in contention in our Wednesday league, so it's good to hear.
Are you going to play off or anything?
No, not yet. But I mean, I think we're only like 4th place. I think 3rd place, which is good. So we're making a push for the playoffs basically right now.
How many get in?
I don't know. I don't know how many weeks we have left. I think we still have like 10 weeks to go. But still, that'd be.
How many teams get in?
Oh, I think 6. I'm not sure how that one works.
Okay, so right now you're technically in the playoffs if it ended today.
I think so, yeah, which is great. So
nice.
Game 1's a big one. But no, man, that sucks. I couldn't do it. They'd be better than me. I'd be like, this is pointless, wasting my time. But I can't be away from not working that long, like especially in an airplane for 2 hours there. Or what is it, an hour and a half there, hour and 45 minutes there?
It's a really quick flight. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half.
Still, it's like in and out.
The only good thing though was on my way there, I had the whole row to myself. So I was checking in for my flight, and I looked at the map of the seats, and I was like, oh shit! It was literally the very last row 27 on an American flight. And I'm looking at the row, and I'm like, both sides of 27 are empty. So I'm like, I'll take an aisle seat, and let's see. Hopefully it stays empty. And sure enough, I sat down. I'm in 27D. One guy had 27C across the aisle. We both had both had rows to ourselves. The way home, not the same. Unfortunately, it was a full flight, but I had the same exact seat because when I booked it, it was empty at the time, but it filled up. But whatever. But yeah, the flight got delayed leaving North Carolina, which sucked. It was supposed to leave at like 6:30 or 6, and it got pushed back to like 7:30. Basically, I left. So, it sucks. But again, I looked at the clock and I just went, okay, that's just more they have to pay me. And then I went and got some very good sushi from the airport there, and I got an IPA and, company tab.
Well, at least that was good though. You know, that's
It wasn't terrible. And they gave me a big ass SUV. I like when I get good cars. I had a big ass Ford Explorer. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I picked up a Palisade today, which is like a step up from what I have. I have the Santa Fe, and driving it down. I mean, it's got some balls on it. You know, I like it. It's a nice car. I think I might want to get that when I trade this one in. Is just go a size up. Jess thinks it's too big, but I don't know. I like it. It has 3 rows, like has separated seating in the middle, which is kind of nice, and then like a full roll in the back.
More room for golf clubs.
Yeah, right. And more golf clubs and stuff like that. But no, that's good. I'll make my BS segment quick. Weekend was just pretty much standard quo, but obviously Super Bowl. We before the Super Bowl we went up to game day. I think we talked to see the people at the bar because they were having a party. So we went up there and just had a quick drink before the actual Super Bowl party started. And then we went to the Super Bowl party and then watched Super Bowl. Had fun. Jess won some squares, which is kind of cool. And then we had the smart idea afterwards of, do we go home or do we go back up to the bar and see who's there? Because it's like a 2-minute drive. I'm like, let's go to the bar. Well, yeah, that was a mistake because there's like still 15 people there.
Oh, geez.
Monday morning was kind of a rough day, but it was a good time. But no, other than that, it was kind of a slow weekend. Didn't do much of anything. Had some stuff, had some running around. A lot of work stuff, but for the most part, it's just all my life is anymore is work. Work and then this and work and then bowling. I think that's pretty much the only activity they have.
I know the feeling. This is my escape now because I used to be like, hey, let's go to a bar and let's go have fun and get all fucked up. Now it's, hey, my podcast is my little bit of a vacation because
we are going to the golf show Saturday if you're around. I think we're going up there for a little bit.
We're going to Columbus for Teddy's birthday. We leave
Saturday. I forgot about that. You did mention that. Yeah, we're going up there around 10 o'clock or so. Just I never buy anything but walk around and they have like a putting contest, like a chipping contest just for fun, you know. And then
I've always wanted to go. I've never been, but yeah, unfortunately we're leaving Saturday for Columbus. We've got the hotel till Monday. So
be careful driving, man. It's supposed to be a little nasty on Saturday, I heard. So just be careful driving.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I was checking the weather. It's supposed to be, obviously we're going south, so hopefully it gets a little nicer on the way down, but you know, gotta go. You gotta go.
Well, let's roll the show, sir. I don't want to keep us over too long.
Let's do it. Yeah, so we have a recap of Super Bowl 59. And what a boring game, truthfully. It was a pure ass whooping. 40-22 doesn't even do it justice. It may as well have been 40-0, honest to God. Overall, it was terrible for the Chiefs. I said it all along. I was like, if they get pressure on Mahomes, that's what the Bucs did. And sure enough, the Eagles got great pressure on Mahomes. And defensively, the Chiefs
didn't even blitz them. That's the pathetic part.
They have that good of a front four. Yeah. And then defensively for the Chiefs, they did exactly like I said. I was like, stop Saquon, and that's exactly what they did. They did a really good job of containing Saquon, but for whatever reason, their secondary could not stop Jalen Hurts and that passing attack. So it was a pure blowout. From start to finish, it was never close. I was watching it with my father-in-law, and when it was like 24-0 or whatever, he was like, it's Mahomes going into halftime. He's like, you never know. I'm like, yeah, I don't really have a good feeling. I'm like, it's tough to come back from 24-0. Like, they have been completely lifeless. I can't imagine they're going into halftime of like, all right, we can figure this out. Like, it was doomed. They had no shot.
I wasn't going to put them out yet, right? Because it's the Chiefs. It's Mahomes. I'm like, if they come out in the second half and they score right away, then okay, we got ourselves a ball game, right? We're in it, and then it could be interesting. But he's happy feet all night. Like he was inside of his own head. I think he didn't trust anybody. He never had time to get comfortable back there. They kept on pushing him outside, and once he pushed outside, he made mistakes. And those mistakes turned into scores, which is unfortunate. But the Eagles played so strong from start to finish. They were just up his ass all night, which was pretty impressive for the Eagles defense like that. And not to blitz, but I think one time they sent the house on them. The rest of the time, that front four just demolished that front offensive line, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Shout out to the Eagles. They did a really good job. I know I said it in the beginning of the season when they acquired Saquon. They were kind of my sleeper pick. I think I picked them to represent the NFC because I was like, who the fuck's going to stop this offense? And sure enough, when they figured it out, it's lights out. When they're clicking, if you shut down Saquon, then they'll just pass against you. If you shut down one of the receivers, they'll hit somebody else and they'll give the ball to Saquon. So just an overall impressive effort. The one cool thing is what I love about the NFL. It's hard to be a dynasty because players come and go so often. And there's going to be a lot of missing pieces on this Eagles team next year when you look at their roster and their cap situation. Like some of the players who showed up huge in this game, like Brandon Graham is more than likely going to be retiring. He came out and played really well for them. You have Nick Vaughn, the linebacker. I believe he's a free agent at the end of the season, and he's going to be getting paid a ton because he had a huge year. And even in the playoffs, if you look at every game, I think he had like at least a turnover or two and a huge sack or a big impactful play in every game in the playoffs. He could have been their MVP of the postseason. And that's how well he played. Don't get me wrong, they still have a lot of people in the core group. You're going to have Jalen, obviously, forever, assuming no injuries happen or anything like that. You'll have Saquon for a long time. You have A.J. Brown, who, of course, was yelling at Nick Sirianni, even though they were up like 24-0 because he wasn't getting the ball. So he's yelling. Like that was, to me, I'd have been like, you're fucking done. I'm cutting you right after this game. If you can't be happy for your team winning the Super Bowl because you're so focused on yourself, that is a fucking shitty teammate, and I would not want that on my team. But
you saw what he said today. Right? I just saw it on Twitter before you went live, where he said it's winning the Super Bowl is not what he thought it would be because he puts the love of the game when he dominates in the game. So basically, he just said because he didn't dominate in this game, it didn't mean much to him, which is crazy to me. That's crazy to me.
That's absurd. That's so crazy. Like I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even imagine getting a Super Bowl and not even being happy about it because it wasn't your best game. Like your team won. It's a team sport. You should be just fucking happy. You could have 0 catches.
I haven't gotten to that chapter yet in the book about how to be a good teammate. Maybe that's coming.
Yeah, I feel like he's stuck on the same page. He just keeps opening up to one spot.
He's like the LeBron James. Every time he took a photo of him, LeBron was always on the second page of every book he had open.
He's starting new ones every night. That's how much he reads.
What are you drinking there? A little Corona?
Michelob Ultra Gold.
Oh, what makes it gold? I don't think I've had that before.
It is USDA Organic Superior Light Beer. It's an organic light lager from Michelob. I don't know. They had him at my brother-in-law Gino's. He had him a couple years ago at his house, and I had it, and I was like, that's actually really good. I'd like to point something out about Saquon. He did not go for his career high game record. He did not go for the overall rushing record. I'll have to be a team player and win a Super Bowl ring instead. I think he did get the overall rushing record. He only needed 30 yards. I thought he got it.
Him before he went for the record.
What's up?
I thought they benched him before he went for the record.
No, I thought he only needed like 30. I just assumed he got it. I didn't really pay attention. No, it was really cool. It sucked because like you're watching the fucking Super Bowl and you want it to be a good game. And for me, I went into this just going, be a good game. I don't even care who wins or loses. I was personally rooting for the Chiefs just because I wanted to see Mahomes get another one and Kelsey to get another one, but I didn't care. And the fact that it was such an ass beating that Kenny Pickett was getting snaps was fucking disgusting to me.
Good for Kenny Pickett. Got that ring.
Yeah, hey, he got himself out of a toxic situation in Pittsburgh and went and got himself a championship. That's what players need to do.
What was your favorite commercial?
Truthfully, I think it was the Michelob Ultra commercial with what's his name, Willem Dafoe and Catherine O'Hara.
Okay,
where they were hustling people for pickleball. I don't know. I really liked that one. I thought that one was pretty funny.
The one where the Mountain Dew commercial where Seal was a seal was hilarious to me.
That's a really good one too.
And then the Coors Light Sloth one was just funny for some reason. Because like at the end where they throw the beer and like he's so slow to like bring his hand over to try to catch it and it just flies right by him.
They're really calling. They're putting out cases that say Monday Light for a while. Yeah, that's like their new thing.
That's amazing. The slow speed chase on TV. Everything about that commercial is just funny.
I thought there were some pretty good ones this year.
Halftime show thoughts?
I thought it was really good. I personally am not a fan of Kendrick Lamar's music. Like I won't say I'm not a fan. I just don't listen to him. I don't listen to rap music. I stopped listening to rap music like 10 years ago. It's just not for me anymore. It changed too much. They started doing all this auto tune and like fucking mumble rapping and stuff like that. So I just completely fell out of love with rap. I used to be a huge rap fan, truthfully. Yeah. But then it just, I don't know, the newer rappers are just not that good to me. And Kendrick Lamar, go ahead.
I was going to say, I strive to be the level of petty that Kendrick Lamar is like in my life.
And that's what I was going to say, the pettiness and the amount of like messages he had in there that went over people's heads was just crazy. Like the Samuel L. Jackson, his Uncle Sam, was fucking awesome. Like, it was so good. He immediately was just like, your music's too ghetto. Stop playing the ghetto stuff. And it's like, that's what most people in America were complaining about. Most white people that were like, I don't get it. This is garbage. Why is he doing this ghetto crap?
Right into it. And then where he's like, oh, you brought your homeboys playing the culture card, and he's like, scorekeeper, deduct 1 life. And I don't think that went over people's head too, I think.
Yep. And then having the people as the American flag while he was standing in the middle. Right. From what I heard, basically every little thing he did had a message. Like there's going to be conspiracy theories about everything, but like all the way down to his outfit. He had a minor, a lowercase a for A minor for the Drake diss. He had, he was wearing bell bottoms, which supposedly like, symbolizing something from what I heard. I don't know. I haven't verified this, symbolizing because that's what men wore during the Vietnam War. So it was like a protest of that or something. Like there was so many, every little thing he did, people were like, here's why he did this. Here's why he did that.
I think I've watched it like 4 times over, but the amount of times that he teased the song, They Not Like
That was so good.
And then he hits it at the end and people are like, he's going to stop before he gets to Kendrick and before he gets to, not Kendrick, sorry, he gets to, Drake, and then he stops and smiles at the camera and says, "Hey, Drake," and then goes right into it. Then the entire crowd screaming A minor at the end was like, "Oh my god!"
It was so perfect. He had a couple of Drake's ex girlfriends out there. Serena Williams doing the Crip walk. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it's one that it's the most talked about Super Bowl halftime show since the Janet Jackson incident, in my opinion. Like, like it or love it, or hate it or love it. It's people are talking about it. So he did something.
I've always been a fan of Kendrick because lyrically, he's one of those rappers that when he raps, it's kind of clear and you can understand what he's saying and you kind of get the message. Kind of like Eminem, right? Eminem rap, you understand what Eminem's saying and you get the messages behind it. Kendrick to me has always been that way too, and I think that's kind of why. Who am I thinking about? Oh my God, Dr. Dre swooped him up a while ago, right, on his record and stuff. I mean, he was discovered by M's. I think M's agent discovered Kendrick, and then Dr. Dre signed him. So I've kind of always just followed his career because he's an up and coming person with Eminem and stuff like that. So I've always been a fan. So I was like that. Of course, I was surrounded by people who didn't like the show. It's fine. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But,
Imagine I was sitting with my father-in-law. What do you think his thoughts on it
were? Chipper got up and sea-walked, so I was impressed for him.
Chipper got up and walked at all at his age. So Crip walking or even just regular walking, that's impressive for Chipper, guy of his age.
But I was impressed with the show. I went back and watched it a couple times, but I think my joy right now is like on TikTok, just watching people's reactions, like big celebrities. Like they had a reaction video with T-Pain, and he was watching it, like his face reaction as the show's going on. He's like, no, he's not going to do it. And as soon as he did, he's like, oh dear Lord, here we go. Like, it was just funny watching everyone's like reaction to him, because there was rumors that he wasn't going to do the song because he was threatened to be sued, and he's probably going to get sued. But he basically said, fuck you, I don't give a shit. Sue me.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week, or maybe I forgot who told me. Somebody mentioned something that they thought they heard that Kendrick Lamar was not getting paid for that performance, and
I don't think superstars get paid. They don't.
From what I've heard, yeah, they have to pay for everything themselves.
Yeah, they pay for
makes total sense, because they're basically like, I can do whatever the fuck I want because there's no, like, you're not paying me. So if I can't breach a contract when you're not giving me anything.
Yeah. Well, basically,
he's for him to do whatever the fuck he wants.
I'm just curious though with the NFL putting that song on, because it did go to court. Like there was a lawsuit pending. I'm wondering if Drake can go after the NFL, go after Fox for being part of this whole defamation of character type thing that he might be able to sue him for. Because they're not.
Drake's lawsuit is he's not suing Kendrick over the song. He's suing radio stations and record labels for the song because they put it out. He's not suing Kendrick at all. It's just he's suing the people that were distributing it.
He's going to sue Fox and the NFL for allowing it to be put out in the biggest sports thing ever.
He can try. I feel like it's going to make him look really bad. I've personally never been a Drake fan. I don't understand the hype. I think he's very corny, and I think he's a fucking nerd. I just never understood the hype and how he acts like he's
hard. What are you talking about? Up and coming Degrassi actor, right?
Yeah, like, dude, you put a crippled kid in a wheelchair, and now you're like, he's walking out. Did you see his outfit the other day? It kind of went viral.
Oh, with the shots through it and smoke.
Yeah, the bullet holes and the fake smoke coming out of it. Like, dude, you look like you I don't know. He just looks like such a fucking dweeb. I don't know. Like Drake.
Just never talk about it and just move on with your life, because the second you address it, then you're just going to get eaten up again.
He's doomed no matter what. This is going to follow him forever. Like,
move on with your life. There's no coming back.
I've seen it bad enough to where, like, I'm expecting. He got beat so bad in this, like, fucking beef battle that I'm waiting for him to put out a pop punk album like MGK did. Because when you get fucked up that bad, you switch genres altogether. So I'm waiting for Drake to release a pop punk album.
I'm waiting for an MGK Drake collab about how they just got their ass beat.
That would be so great for me because that's two pieces of garbage in one swoop right into the trash because I would never listen to that.
Yeah, but overall, man, it was a pretty good show. I mean, the halftime.
I did enjoy it. And again, I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan. Like, I truly have only heard like 2 or 3 of the songs he played because I don't listen to him. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the showmanship of it. I did find it funny. Shout out to my friend of show and friend in my actual life, Safety Steve, Statistic Steve, whatever you want to call him. I did find it funny. I think he commented on your post where he was like, don't make it political for the halftime show. He was like kind of knocking it and said something like he didn't need to make it political, which is funny just because I feel like if it were to be like fucking Morgan Wallen at the halftime show and he would have flipped on a MAGA hat, I bet all the people that said don't make it political would have been like, best fucking halftime show ever. That was so good. So it's just, I find it very hypocritical because if it were for...
I didn't think it was political to today's day and age. But I think it was political to a point. Like, I mean, the 40 acres in the Mule comment line was something that probably went over 90% of people's heads, right? You know, and that's something that wasn't political for right now. It's just political overall.
Yeah, it was for a long time, slavery and stuff like that.
So, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, there's a lot of hidden stuff in there, and props to Kendrick for sneaking that stuff in there that people probably had to go back and watch it over and over again to pick up all those nuances. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my god!
You know, I would say though, next year let's get a pop artist back in there, or a country artist next year. Let's just not go even deeper down the rap hole because I'm afraid of what's going to pop out next. Like, I was good with this one, but I don't know who they can come out with next. You know?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on who they're going to get. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've accepted the fact I'm 35 years old. I'm old. They are probably not going to be booking a lot of people that I'm familiar with and that I care about, I assume. But I hope they just get good, like, know your audience. You know what I mean? Like, get people that are going to put on a good performance. Don't get somebody that's like super, like, and again, I don't care about politics, but like, I don't like country music, so I don't want a country person to be doing the halftime show. Just get a good, neutral fucking star of whatever genre and, you know, make it good. That's all I care about. Like Kendrick Lamar, when I first heard about it, I truthfully was like, I don't really care about this halftime show because I don't really know the guy. But then I watched it, and I watch every halftime show. I give it all the benefit of the doubt. He did a good job. But I'm curious to see. I don't know when they'll announce who's performing next year, but I'm
probably not. It's like 6 months away. But I mean,
yeah, I'm looking forward to them announcing it. Hopefully, it's something good.
I mean, Miley Cyrus calling it now. I just feel it's going to be Miley Cyrus or whatever.
Wouldn't hate it. She puts on a good performance, so you know that's somebody that's like whatever. Okay, I can watch that and enjoy it.
Right.
So we'll see. But overall, the Super Bowl sucked. Commercials were good. That was literally the only entertaining part. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes played one of the worst games of his career. Hopefully Travis Kelce doesn't retire on that note. That's the other thing, too, that I find really fucking funny about this game is you would have thought that the Chiefs were 16-0 or 17-0, I'm sorry, and then in the Super Bowl, and people were crowning them like the greatest team of all time. They have won 3 out of the last 6 Super Bowls or whatever it is. They're a really fucking good team. Mahomes is still under 30 years old, and people are ragging on them as if like their whole team has to just disappear. They're like, that's it. Don't ever talk about them being the greatest of all time. They fucking suck. It's like they literally just won the Super Bowl a year ago, and people are like, they fucking blow. I find it crazy how fucking quickly people are trying to flip on them.
Repeat, suddenly they're not a good football team.
I forgot to even think about that. Not only did they win the Super Bowl last year, they won the Super Bowl the year before that. And people are like, they fucking suck. They couldn't do it 3 straight times. Like, literally, no team has in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah, that was first time.
So it's just the people online, like, I saw a bunch of posts about people talking shit about Kelce, and now they're like, he's fucking cooked. He's so bad. So I did a little Googling because I was bored. He was still top 5 in just about every category for tight ends this year, and he had a horrible year. So I find it very funny that people are like, this dude's cooked, he's washed. It's like, no, he's still top 5 in the entire NFL.
I personally think he does retire. I mean, I don't know, but I think he does. I think this is maybe one more year. I don't know, but I don't think he has long in him. If it's not this year, it's for sure next year that he needs to retire.
I think he comes back for one more to try to win that last Super Bowl, and he would go out next year. I don't think he wants to go out the way he played.
A lot of money outside of the NFL, like, right?
He already did. They sold their podcast for like what, 100, 200 million or something like that.
Insane how much money. And I mean, they could go on like a whole tour of that show and add more stuff to it now that he's not playing football, right? Because he's entertaining, right? He is entertaining. I think his brother's funnier, but I mean, he is entertaining.
The only thing that I would worry about for them is if he retires, they really lose the limelight. Because personally, like hearing them talk every week, like they did an episode this week after the Super Bowl, and I caught a couple clips of it, and that I love that. If they're both retired and it's just about them talking about their normal day-to-day life now, I don't know. I don't feel like they're going to be as entertaining. I kind of feel like he needs to be in the NFL because they're going to lose all of the spotlight. There will be no more talk about Taylor Swift because of him, because he's not in the game anymore. I feel like the podcast won't be as good because there's no longer a football season to talk about. It'll just be like their normal, like, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, I woke up and I went to the gym and I got breakfast. Like, all right, well, that's not really worthy of a podcast anymore.
I think Jason just goes on a tour of drinking at every Monday Night Football game, and that's something to talk about. The amount of beer
eventually he's going to get hired to actually do like he'll do coverage for a show or for a game, which I think he'd be good at. So we'll see what happens with that. But you never want to see people retire down. So I know Andy Reid already said he'll be back next year. I think if Kelsey at least rolls it back for one more go with Andy Reid and Mahomes, they try to win one more Super Bowl, then they both can retire at the same time. I think would be cool. I just feel like going out with this big loss, not to say it would make a huge difference, but like they were missing Rashee Rice. They had a lot of injuries. I think they can bolster up their offensive line in the offseason, and they could be right back in this conversation next year.
I think for sure they'll be deep in the playoffs next year. I just don't know about Super Bowl. I think teams are going to get better this year. AFC, especially AFC, is going to get better, I think. They got a lot of competition out there. But
you think, but they haven't yet.
I'm rooting for the Bills, man. One of these years. It has to be the Bills' year sometime here soon. It's not going to be the Browns. Let's root for the Bills.
I give the Bills a ton of credit because the Bills did a full, like they're going through a partial rebuild last year. They did not have a very good defense. Their offense, they don't have a lot of weapons for Josh Allen. Josh Allen willed that team to be as good as they were. They traded away Stephon Diggs, which everybody at the time was like, what the fuck are you doing? And they traded for Amari Cooper, and he did absolutely nothing for them. So they've taken some chances, and they haven't like really capitalized on those, but they were still able to get to the AFC Championship, and that just shows you how good Josh Allen is. So I think another offseason with a little bit more flexibility with the cap. Now they can load up some people on defense. They can get some guys on offense. And I think I agree with you. I would love to see Buffalo go that far. Like if it's Kansas City and Buffalo in the AFC Championship again next year, I'd be very happy about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Buffalo, we'll switch gears here a little bit. I saw a tweet today. I don't know the validity of it, but I take it. Everything I see on the internet these days, unless Elon Musk comes out and admits that, hey, I'm going to be wrong a lot, then I just believe everything I read on the internet. So somebody tweeted that Andrew Berry has been fielding phone calls for Myles Garrett, and at least 4 of the teams that have been quote unquote confirmed were the Commanders, the Buccaneers, the who were the other 2 teams? Buffalo Bills were one of them, and I forgot the 4th team, but supposedly there were 4 teams that called. Immediately Andrew Berry said, no chance, we're not trading him. And they said one of the trade proposals was so bad that Andrew Berry literally laughed them off the phone. I don't know who. They didn't go into details, but that was just a report that I read today.
Really?
Yeah. So I saw Buffalo, Washington, Tampa Bay, and I forgot the 4th team. I believe it was another contender. It was Detroit. It was Detroit. The Lions. They were the other team. All 4 of those teams allegedly contacted Andrew Berry. He immediately said, we're not fucking trading him. And then one of them was so bad, he laughed them off the phone. So that's the report that I saw today.
I mean, if he's not asking for a haul and a half, then it's not even worth listening to. So I respect that.
I mean, I wonder if he's literally not even entertaining. Like, he's not even saying, like, hey, make me your best offer. It's straight up like, we're not trading him. Fuck off. Like, I'm not even listening. Because that's kind of what I feel like doing.
Bad with Myles, though. I think he's going to continue to throw these fits and everything. And it's going to continue to get worse. He's going to force himself out of Cleveland.
I don't think so. I don't think he'll do that to himself. I do think he is trying to do that right now. He's trying to make himself look bad, so basically the Browns have no chance but to get rid of him. But because of his contract, they literally cannot get rid of him. So I just really feel like he's going to do this bullshit. It's over now. The Super Bowl's over. Radio Row is done. He can do as many interviews in the offseason as he wants. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to care anymore at this point because he's already burned bridges. But there's nothing else he can really say. He's already said that if he'll do whatever it takes. It was his quote the other day when they said, What if a team can't afford you and you have to like really take a pay cut to go to a contender? He said, I'll do whatever it takes. So he's, of course, basically saying he'll do anything to win in the NFL. So I say the Browns call his bluff. Okay. Here, you want to sit out? We're not trading you. So if you don't care about money, sit out. We'll fine you every day. You won't get paid for your contract. We'll keep fucking tagging you until you're on this team for the next fucking 4 years. And when you're 34 years old or whatever, sure, you can go play for whatever fucking team you want when you're old, by NFL standards. So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. There is a part of me that like dislikes him now, but I also don't want him to go anywhere else because I do understand how talented he is. So it's a tough situation to be in, truthfully.
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I kind of am hoping and praying what you're saying is that he's not going to go somewhere, but I just feel like it's going to get worse.
Robert, what's up, dude?
Going to potentially have to move him because he's not going to give up. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe the next couple months here, it's quiet time, and he'll go away, and things will be better, and they sign him to another deal or something, and we put a plan around him to draft a dual Carter or whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. There are some rumors going around that Shedeur Sanders has come out and said that he has had conversations with. Oh, George, there it is. Oh, God. I won't read that one on air, but Jesus, George.
What up, Robert?
The Shedeur Sanders has come out, though, and admitted that he does have visits lined up with Cleveland. They're the first team that he has a visit set up with. There's a lot of smoke that the Browns are taking Shedeur Sanders. He is actually, I believe, statistically one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college in NCAA history. And that is right up there for what Kevin Stefanski would like. He's got a decent arm. He is a pocket passer.
Don't talk yourself into it. Don't even do it. It's not even.
I'm just saying if they take a quarterback, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders because it's looking like a lock that Cam Ward's going number one. So it's basically the Browns have a choice between Shedeur Sanders or the field. And I'm starting to think they're going to take him because they understand the importance of a quarterback. And I'm not talking myself into it by any stretch of the imagination. You know where I stand. I even read Dane Brugler, who's my favorite draft coverage prospect guy. He has Shedeur Sanders. He put out his big board the other day. He has Shedeur Sanders at like fucking 25. No. He has Cam Ward at like 17. So he doesn't think these quarterbacks are even top 15 worthy, and they're probably going 1 and 2, which just shows you the NFL. If we get Sanders, we need to beef up the line. The line's pretty good, Robert. They just need to stay healthy. If they're healthy,
he's not known as a running quarterback, is he? No, he's a pocket.
No, he's a pocket quarterback.
Yeah.
But again, our offensive line's fine. It's just a matter of them being healthy. You've got, assumingly, you're going to be starting because Jedrick Wills is gone. So you've got DeJuan Jones starting at left tackle. You've got Bitonio at left guard. You've got Ethan Posick at center. You have Wyatt Teller at right guard, and then you're going to have Jack Conklin at right tackle. That's a fucking good offensive line. It's just if they can stay healthy.
Bro, the Cavs are smacking the shit out of the Raptors.
Yeah, I know. I have some bets going. I'm like, cool, these guys are all going to be fucking sitting for the second half.
No, right? I'm so tired of blowouts in the NBA, man. So tired of it.
I even took really low odds on things, too. Like, I took, like, Scotty Barnes, or I'm sorry, Darius Garland. I took him to get 10 points. He has 4. Like, come on, dude. I took him to get 3 threes. That's probably not going to happen at this rate.
I took him to took 2 threes. It took Mitchell to take 2 threes, and they're both sitting at 0 right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I have
Mitchell to take 2, and I have Garland to hit 3, and they both have 0.
Did you see the Wembanyama boost pick tonight?
I did 2 blocks and then 3 threes from Jason Tatum. I don't trust Tatum to hit 3 threes.
I took that. I put $5 on it just for fun.
The Wembanyama to get the 2 blocks, I could see that done by like the fucking first quarter.
I also took a bet for a couple teams to hit 100 by third quarter, in the first 3 quarters. So I took I took the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, the Lakers, and the Nuggets to all hit 100 points by the third quarter. By the end of the third.
The Cavs might get it by halftime at this rate. They already have over 50 points. As long as I get 100 starting by the 4th, he's got 3, I think. What's he talking about? He's got 3.
Tatum?
3 blocks.
Tatum's got 3?
I don't know. I wasn't checking any games.
21 points right now. He might have it. Let me see. Sorry, I don't mean to.
Live sports betting. Tatum has 3, he thinks. Yeah, they're up 66 to 47.
Tatum has 4 3-pointers already.
Oh, there you go.
And Wembanyama has how many blocks? Probably 0. That's probably when we get fucked.
He has 1.
He has 1. All right. So, I mean, that's
not bad. We'll have to get 1 block when you're 7'10". You should be able to get that.
Yeah.
If he swings the right way, he can block a shot with his dick. So good for him. So yeah, that was a good bet. I just don't try. Every time I bet on Tatum, I feel like he's like the worst player in the NBA. I'm like his kryptonite. If I take him,
it's very up and down. Sure, I agree with you. Very up and down.
For a guy who like people try to hype up as like a MVP caliber player, he literally he'll go out there and put up like 10 points. Like I don't know.
Like a cup chair tonight. Here you go.
Cup chair. So shout out again to Steve. Steve sends me. There's a TikTok account that's dedicated to showing cup chairs.
There's an Instagram one. I actually submitted one because I think I have like 20 some cup chair pictures already. Because all the hotels I've been at. But no, every time I go to one, I just take a photo of it. I think was it last week or the week before? They didn't have a chair. They just had a cushion, like a 4-foot long cushion on a bench. And I'm like, okay, well, that's just interesting.
they know what it's for, so they're like, fuck it, put an impromptu cuck situation over there.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So yeah, the Myles Garrett situation is there. The draft is approaching. Browns are meeting with players. The hot topic is Shedeur Sanders.
Nope.
Hate it or love it. I don't know. I would take Abdul Carter, but I do understand the importance of a quarterback. And
fucking sign Cousins or go after Cousins. And
there's people that are pissed off basically thinking that if we don't take Sanders and he goes like 3 or 4 or whatever, and he turns out to be really good, then it just makes the Browns look even worse. Everyone just has that fear. So on one hand, they're going.
We're going to have a Commanders type year. Give me a fucking break, man.
It's Browns fans are just so tortured that they don't know what to think anymore. So right now, their thought process is don't take the quarterback because we've never had luck with quarterbacks. Then the other half says take the quarterback because if you don't take him and he's really good, then you look like an idiot. So it's a really double-edged sword. Give Nick Chubb 2 years, $10 million. Nick Chubb's washed. I love the guy, but Nick Chubb looks cooked. As nice as it would be for him to continue with this franchise, I just feel like giving a roster spot to a dude who's super ineffective is, I don't know. If they can afford it, I would, I guess, maybe do it, but I don't know.
Shedeur Sanders, 6'1"? We have another Baker Mayfield situation?
He's 6. I think he's 6'2".
Oh, okay. The inch matters. Anyway.
He's 6'2". Oh, it does. Daniel Jones, that's a name I've heard too. I wouldn't hate Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has looked really good, and that was with a very bad Giants organization. He then got to spend most of this year with Coach of the Year Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, who could have taught him some really good things to come to Cleveland with Stefanski, who we know Stefanski is really good with quarterbacks. Stefanski has made some of the worst quarterbacks look very competent in the NFL. So, yeah, I think Daniel Jones is a legitimate option for the Cleveland Browns, and I would not be mad about it at all. I know there's people out there that just hear the name Daniel Jones and think, fuck him, he's a bum. But with Stefanski, there's really not many quarterbacks that I'm afraid of. I think Stefanski can work with just about anybody, except for Deshaun Watson, apparently. Take Carter 2, Henderson with 1 pick in the second, then Howard, and then, let's just keep going. Let's take every fucking Ohio State Buckeye you can get.
Henderson's the second round. Well, he might.
He might. I think he'll be an early second round pick.
I don't want Will Howard. Fuck that. No.
If we already had a solidified quarterback, I would take Will Howard knowing he's just going to be the backup. But considering we don't have a starting quarterback, we have no idea what our future holds at the position, I'm not taking Will Howard. We need winners. Robert, let me tell you a little story about how winners in college don't translate in the NFL all the time, buddy. That's a scientific fact. I'm sorry to break that news to you. Yeah, there were plenty of Ohio State winners that did not do shit in the NFL.
Craig Krenzel.
And not even just them. Look at other teams. Like, go back and look at some of the best. I think, like, statistically, one of the best college quarterbacks of all time is, like, fucking Colt McCoy. And he sucks. He's not a good NFL quarterback. Matt Leinart was a fucking winner, and he sucked in the NFL. The list is endless of guys who were great. Johnny Manziel was a winner in college.
Who was Mr. Take a Knee down there? Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow, AJ McCarron was a fucking winner, and he sucks in the end. Like, there's college and NFL are so different. The only thing you need to look for, and I try to tell people this all the time, a lot of people look at stats in college and they look at the team's win-loss record, and that's what they base off of if they want a quarterback. Do not look at any of that. Stats mean fucking nothing in college football if you're scouting for the NFL. What you want to look for are mechanics. Watch a guy. Look at the decision-making that he does. Look at how he reacts to a blitz. Look at his footwork. Look at his release. Look at how you have to look at hand size. There's important things to look at that have nothing to do with the stats. People that argue about stats when you're trying to talk about prospects is fucking bananas to me because it means nothing. Wouldn't Daniel Jones be cheap because he's being paid by the Giants? Yeah, I think we'd be able to get him for basically next to nothing. I don't know how that works, to be honest, because technically he got released. He was able to sign with Minnesota for the league minimum. I don't know how that works for next year. I'd have to look at his contract. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I doubt he would cost much because he needs a prove-it deal anyway. I think most teams know that he sucked, so they're not going to give him the stars and the moon until he shows he's good. So he'd get a cheap deal like what Sam Darnold got in Minnesota last year would basically be what Daniel Jones gets this year, in my opinion. So yes, the Browns are a landing spot. You have Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be a free agent. I'm not saying him come to Cleveland. I think he's too much of a headache. I don't really want that. But if you look at his numbers, really weren't as bad as the Jets were. His numbers weren't terrible in New York. But I think Aaron Rodgers ends up in Vegas. I don't know why. I've got a gut feeling there. They have Tom Brady. They've got Pete Carroll. I could see Aaron Rodgers going there for some reason as a 1 or 2 year guy till they figure it out at the quarterback position. But we'll talk about all that during the offseason. The NFL awards happened last Thursday night before the Super Bowl, and Defensive Player of the Year went to Patrick Surtain. Myles Garrett, I don't even know, was he even third place? I don't even know where he ended up.
Was there an error on TV where they listed his name, though?
What do you mean? I didn't watch. I have no idea.
I saw a tweet. Someone took a screen grab when they listed Surtain as the winner. It had Myles Garrett underneath as like the plaque, like the wording underneath it. I'll have to find it. But
interesting. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake or someone was just trolling. But I think when they did have him called out as a winner. It showed Myles Garrett.
Interesting. No, I didn't watch because Myles Garrett was the only Browns player nominated, and I knew he had no chance of winning. So, excuse me, I didn't bother. So he wins that. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Jaden Daniels. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Jared Verse from the Rams. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Saquon Barkley. And MVP, Coach of the Year, I said already, goes to Kevin O'Connell. And Myles was fifth. Yeah, I don't even know what place he was. I knew he had no chance.
I just sent you the photo.
No shit. And then MVP goes to, I think, deserved, Josh Allen. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. Oh, that's pretty funny. they forgot to edit it from last year, more than likely.
Right. Yeah, I think Josh Allen deserved the MVP for sure. I don't think anybody else agreed, though. Some people didn't agree with that, I guess. But I thought it was a good.
No, it's really funny to me because, again, it's all revisionist history. So everyone last year, when Lamar Jackson won it last year, he did not have the best stats.
Right.
And he won. And Ravens fans went, well, it's not about stats. He meant so much to his team and this and that. That's why he got the award. Okay, that's your argument. This year, Lamar had the better stats. Josh Allen meant more to his team. Ravens fans and the media are acting outraged, going, I can't believe it didn't go to Lamar Jackson. He had the better season. It's like, well, fucking which is it? Because last year you didn't care. Technically speaking, in the 2024 awards, Dak Prescott had a better year than Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott did not win MVP. Lamar Jackson did. This year, Lamar had better stats than Josh Allen, and Josh Allen won the MVP. And I agree completely, Robert.
How many votes did he win it by? Did we see the total tallies?
It was close. I think there was don't quote me on the exact number, but it was only off by like 4 or 5. I think it was like 27 to 23 or something like that. So it was close for first place voting. But yeah, I think Josh Allen deserved it 100%. As we mentioned earlier, they traded away Stephon Diggs. They had to really cut a lot of money. They're in kind of like a weird rebuild phase, and Josh Allen still willed them to win the division. I know the voting's over by this game, so it didn't matter, but he got them to the NFC Championship. He beat Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson pissed down his leg in the playoffs again, and then a week later you're going to complain because Josh Allen won an MVP over a guy who he just beat. I know that game didn't matter in the MVP voting, but it's just a proven thing that Josh Allen's the better quarterback in situations like that. And he means more to his team. Lamar Jackson had the best year of his career. You know why? Because they went out and got a running back who put up crazy fucking numbers for them. Lamar Jackson plays backyard football. Is it impressive to watch? Sure, because he can just make shit up on the fly. Is it? I don't know. It's just, to me, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it for me. Because I know he's a choke artist in the playoffs. So yes, he can put up this great regular season. Again, didn't deserve the MVP last year, and they gave it to him. Now they give one to Josh Allen, and everyone's like, oh, he didn't fucking deserve it. So I hate the argument.
Josh is winning on and off the field, man. His fiance, I forgot he was engaged to
He's
her.
flying planes. He's engaged to Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Kudos to him. Again, I agree with Robert. He much deserved for Josh Allen. I saw no issue with this. In the preseason when we did our picks, I picked Josh Allen to win the MVP this year, and I think he deserved it. He did everything he could have, and I hope Buffalo can continue to be good, and I would love to see Buffalo.
He just needs to put a Lombardi trophy now in that closet of his. I think it's going to be.
Hey, you never know. If Buffalo can have a nice offseason and they can get him some weapons at the receiver position and help their defense a little bit. I mean, they're trying to win a ring, dude, because like I said earlier, Buffalo called Cleveland and said, what do you want from Myles Garrett? They know what it takes to win a championship, and he would fucking turn that franchise around with them. But I'm glad the Browns said no.
Who wins one first, Burrow or Allen?
Can I say neither? I would probably, gun to my head, I would say Burrow, just because Burrow has a better team around him right now. But obviously that's probably going to change, assuming T. Higgins is going to be gone. But I mean, as long as you have Jamar Chase, Burrow's going to be up there they're going to have one of the best offenses in football. Josh Allen has nothing compared to him. Jackson's back here for sure. Lamar Jackson, the defense that a team plays in the playoffs is so fucking different than the regular season. And no one understands that, because you have Lamar Jackson in the regular season can go out there and make a team look foolish. Then you get into the playoffs, teams lock him the fuck down because you are playing a different level of football. So I don't think that Lamar Jackson's ever going to be able to figure that out. He's not getting any younger. The running that he does, he's been lucky. He's had a couple of healthy seasons, not really known for him to be healthy. So I'm going to say it. I think he got lucky to not get hurt because of the hits that he takes, the bad decisions that he makes when he runs around like that. And I think when he loses his ability to scramble, that's going to affect him as a quarterback. And I don't think he's a good pocket passer. I know people are going to go, look at his stats. He had such a good year, this and that. But I think if you're actually comparing it, if you take away his threat with the legs, I don't think he can do much. And I don't think his window's closing very quickly. And I don't know if that's a conversation that Ravens fans are ready to have yet. But
I mean,
that window's closing faster for Baltimore.
He did improve as a quarterback this year, though. He did play better as a quarterback this year.
Yeah, because what really helps that is when teams are going, fuck, we have to stack the box because we're really afraid of Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So Derrick Henry also not getting any younger. So their window is closing quickly there in Baltimore, and seeing them lose always makes me happy. So fuck them, fuck Lamar Jackson, fuck all the Ravens fans that want him to win MVP. He shouldn't have even gotten the MVP last year. So you guys can take those awards, shove them up your dick holes, and go fuck yourselves, Baltimore. That's my nice way of saying that to them. Let's switch gears a little bit. There were some trades in the NBA. Cavaliers being one of those teams. I believe I talked about the Luka trade last week. I truly don't remember.
We did.
I did. Okay, I couldn't remember. So the Luka trade, everybody obviously saw that. The Lakers tried to trade for Mark Williams, the center. He failed his physical, and that trade got canceled, and Dalton Knecht had to come back. Funny, I don't understand this. Call me crazy. I don't understand why they don't allow trades for injured players to happen. Makes no fucking sense to me. It's not like Mark Williams has an injury that's going to cost him his career. So they're like, no, you can't trade for this guy. He'll literally never play for you. Like, he's not dying. He'll play eventually. Let them fucking make a trade. It's the risk they're taking for an injured player.
It's a role in every sport, though. You can't trade for an injured player.
Yeah, it's really weird to me, which technically you can, because the Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic trade, both of them were hurt at the time of their trades.
Okay, I guess there's a different level of injury, though, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how the NBA can kind of pick and choose their rules whenever they want to. But I don't know. It's strange to me. I feel like they should have just let the trade happen. I mean, it's not like they were doing a like a crazy trade for like a bunch of shit players that added up the cost of a good player.
Nice for them because I mean they need that centerpiece, and now you
for sure. I was talking about it with some people at work.
It's like, oh, we still like you. It's okay.
Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, I would just basically sit him down and be like, "Listen, it's a business. Like, you'll lie a little bit. I would say we didn't want to trade you, but they insisted that we included you in the deal, so we had to do it. Otherwise, we tried to trade somebody else, but they wouldn't let us. Like, you just fucking butter them up a little bit."
Nick can feel the kid who's not liked. You're like, that's okay, buddy. We still like you.
Don't worry. You shouldn't be the last pick. Don't worry. It's all good. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are going into halftime with a combined 3-point percentage of 0%, 0 for 4 and 0 for 5.
Good.
So not going well on that bet front.
Hopefully they come out and hit it in the second half. So we'll see.
Well, the one good thing is the Raptors have cut the lead down to 25, so the game is not out of hand.
Okay.
They'll play a little bit. Yeah, they got Alex Len. I saw that. I mean, hey, the Lakers are basically going to try to show people you don't need a center if you want to win a championship. But the only trade that really matters in the NBA, in my opinion, was the DeAndre Hunter coming to Cleveland.
Trade.
I love it. Boston's going to screw you, Kyle.
Why?
Wemby just needs one block. I mean, that's not that difficult.
No, I think he's saying about I had Boston for 100 by the end of the third.
Oh, I gotcha.
Get it. They need 13 more points.
I mean, the Cavs need 32 in the third quarter. That's kind of tough.
What's wishful thinking here, Robert? Positive.
I think they had 40 something at the end of the first quarter, so they had a kind of a slow second. So we'll see how the Cavs come out in the third, also. But yeah, Boston might not get it done for you either. But yeah, so the Cavs trade for DeAndre Hunter. They unfortunately had to get rid of fan favorite George Niang.
Loved it.
And another fan favorite, Karis LeVert. Both of those guys were gritty bench players. They came in and gave their all. They were really fun to watch. I wish them well. I had no ill will. I truly love. This is one of the rare times that like every player on the Cavs I fucking love. Like there's not one player. Like back in the day, I had my grudge against Anderson Varejao, which was a personal grudge. So long story short, I may have told the story on the podcast before. Maybe I didn't. Either way, here's my story. I used to take all my lunch money, whenever I was working when I was like 16, 17 years old, and I would go to Cavs games. I would buy cheap Cavs tickets. You could get them back then for like less than $20. So me and my buddy Bill, excuse me, we would go to as many Cavs games as we could together. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you that we almost went to damn near every home game for the Cavaliers. We loved it. We'd go early as fuck. We'd run down to the court, get as close as we could. We'd get autographs. I have so many fucking autographs from like Eric Snow and Ira Newble and like players that weren't good, but I loved the Cavs so much. I never got a LeBron, obviously, because he never signed, but I would go down and try to get as many autographs as I could. I would ask for shit. I'd always be like, let me get your headband. Let me get this. Let me get that. And Anderson Varejao is a huge fan favorite. He came by. He was signing autographs. He was talking to me and Bill for a little bit, or at least trying to, because he barely speaks English. And I was like, hey, can I get your headband? And he's like, yeah, of course. He's like, after the game. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll come back down then after the game. And he's like, after the game. And he ran back into the locker room. And then after the game, me and my buddy Bill were like, all right, there's like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We were obviously sitting in the nosebleeds. I'm like, let's fucking go down there. So I run down. The game ends. Anderson Varejao comes back. I'm like, Anderson, hey, can I get your headband? And he just kept going and ignored me.
So and personal vendetta because of that.
Bill texts me randomly all the time in quotes. He'll just put after the game. He'll just send me that every once in a while.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I had a lot of encounters with athletes where that one's not as egregious. I don't actually hate Anderson Varejao for that. It's a funny story, but at the time when I was a kid, I was like, like I said, 15 years old or whatever. So like I really wanted that fucking autograph. I do hate Braylon Edwards, though. I've talked about this one, I know for sure, where he called me selfish for trying to get 2 autographs from him when I was a child.
Yeah.
And he had just held out for, I forgot how many weeks of the preseason of training camp because he wanted a bigger contract. And he had the audacity to tell me, I forgot how old I was under 18, so I was a child. He told me, don't be selfish, because I was pinned in against the fence at training camp getting autographs. And I was like, well, fuck it. He already signed 1 item. I'm standing here. Here's a second. And then he hits when he said, He grabbed the card, got ready to sign it, looked at me and goes, "Didn't I already sign for you? Don't be selfish," and handed it back to me. Like, you motherfucker, you held out for how many extra couple hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that from your team, and you called me selfish for just trying to have you sign a fucking football card? Fuck Edwards.
I'll never forget my Braylon Edwards incident when I ran into him and Brady Quinn both at the used to be Buckeye Lanes in North Olmsted. They came like on Fridays, and I remember walking up to Brady, and I wasn't sober by any means, but I shook his hand and said, "Huge Notre Dame fan, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're here, blah, blah, blah." And I looked at Braylon and said, "Fuck Michigan." And I walked away.
That's fair.
I couldn't stand him. So
I just had a bad vibe against Braylon Edwards because I think it was 2005, I think was the year he got drafted. That was actually my first NFL draft that I went to. And I went to try to get his autograph in New York when I was there. It was at the Javits Center. And I ran down where like they had the players doing interviews, and I was like, "Hey, I'm wearing all my Browns stuff. He just got drafted by the Browns. Maybe he'll sign like my fucking hat or whatever." I don't even remember what I had. And I went down there, and I'm waiting by the media area, and his whole family's standing around. They all got their Browns draft hats on that they gave him, and he's doing interviews, so they're just waiting. And I'm listening to them talk, and they're not even excited that he got drafted number 3 overall. They're pissed because he didn't go 1 or 2. All they were doing was bitching about how he's going to show the rest of the NFL that he should have gone higher than 3, which, don't get me wrong, at that stage, there's no rookie salary cap. So if you're number 1 pick, you're getting an extra probably $10 million compared to the 2nd and 3rd overall pick. So that's all they cared about was money. So they were just bitching the second he got drafted, rather than being happy for him, they're bitching that he didn't go 1 or 2. He went 3 as if it was a bad thing. So when I heard that, I was kind of standing there. I'm like, God, these people are fucking dicks. So I walked away from them, and he's no different. He was a piece of shit as well, and I fucking hate him.
Oh, well, what can you do? It's the past.
Yeah, there's my athlete hatred stories of people that I've actually had interactions with. They all fucking suck. But yeah, the Cavs acquired DeAndre Hunter for a handful of draft picks and for, again, Georges Niang and Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert was on an expiring contract, so that was smart to get off the books. Georges Niang sucks to get rid of because he's fun in the regular season, but in the playoffs, as he proved last year, again, I've never seen a drop-off in a player's talent like I did in the playoffs last year. Georges Niang was already just an okay player, and then when we got into the playoffs, he looked so much slower, and he looked like he did not belong on an NBA court. I don't know what happened to him, but when I saw that, that's when I went, okay, now I know next year, assuming the Cavs make the playoffs, which I think they're going to, it's safe to say, Georges Niang can't touch the court. He's a liability. So the fact that they were able to get rid of him is like, all right, that's kind of nice. Now that opens up a little bit of extra playing time for somebody else to come in there, because in the playoffs, you cut your bench down a little bit. So I love it. Joe Montana is an a-hole too. I'm so disappointed, but Steve Young and Jerry Rice are very cool, down-to-earth dudes. I can see that.
For Joe Montana.
Yeah, a lot of Notre Dame guys tend to be dicks. It's all that uppity fucking religious bullshit. I hear you, George.
But I think Hunter's huge because we needed that wing defense. Fuck off, Robert. But we need that wing defense, and I think he matches up well against Tatum and some of the bigger stars in the East too. So I think he's going to do well. He's the piece that we were kind of looking for anyways. If we were going to make a trade,
he could definitely, his defense can improve. I'll say that he's not a great defender, but he's better than obviously anything we had. He is, since LeBron James, he is the first true 3-guard forward, whatever you want to call him. I know 3 is a small forward, but nowadays it's more of like a guard position, but I'll just call it a 3. He is the first true 3 that the Cavs have had since LeBron James. And that's a position they've been trying to get for a long time. They tried to make Isaac Okoro do it, and it didn't work. They've tried multiple players at that 3 position, and they haven't been able to find one that's big enough and athletic enough to actually do it on a regular basis. So he is a legitimate, he can start every night at the 3. You have Garland 1, Mitchell 2, you have Hunter 3, Mobley 4, Allen 5. That is a fucking good lineup. That's one of the best starting 5s in all of basketball.
They seem to be blending very well together too, which is great right now. They still got more to learn about each other, but they're doing well so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his second game with the Cavaliers, and it takes adjustment. I know it's like a lot of people try to think that like it's like a video game. Like if you make this trade in what's it called, NBA 2K,
Yep.
Obviously he's not going to skip a beat. But in real life, teams have to figure out like And I learned this from LeBron James because you'd see how him and his new teammates would work together. He wants to figure out, where do you want the ball? Like, and I'm not talking like generally speaking. He literally is like, do you want the pass high? Do you want it low? Do you want it at your belly button? Do you want it closer to your dick? Like, he'll literally like, wherever you want the ball, I'm going to try to put it there to make sure you can shoot as efficiently and quickly as possible. And it's a learning experience. So DeAndre Hunter is going to get more acclimated with the Cavs, his teammates. And I mean, right now he's 2 of 3. He has 4 rebounds, 0 assists, 2 fouls, 6 points, 0 for 1 from 3. That's fine. Cavs are up by 25. I don't need DeAndre Hunter to score 30 points. He is here to help, like Kyle said, play defense at the 3 position and to get us some points and, some rebounds and shit like that. And that's exactly what he's doing. So I love the trade. I couldn't be happier. We have him for at least this year and next year because of his contract. And the Cavs, I also believe, by getting rid of LeVert and Niang, have avoided the luxury tax also by getting those contracts off the books. So this is a huge move for the Cavaliers, makes things easier for them in the future, and just a brilliant move by Kobe Altman.
Yeah,
I love the trade.
I love it.
And lastly, we got a couple things we wanted to talk about here. The Cleveland Guardians announced a move that for $99.99, you can stream every Guardians game. You don't need FanDuel Sports Network. It's not on STO or whatever the fuck. Those channels aren't there anymore. So like for me, I have YouTube TV. I do not get Guardians game access. I use my brother-in-law's login information. I was using it for when it was called Bally Sports, and then now it's FanDuel. I use my brother-in-law Khan's login information to watch Cavs games. I use them to watch Guardians games. But for $100, actually, when you look at, honest to God, it's a cheap deal. It really is not bad for a full baseball season for 162 games. It's not bad. However, I get it for free, so I'm not going to be paying that. And I also hate that the Guardians are going to be getting this money directly to them because it's not through a streaming network or anything like that. And they still have not put any fucking money into this team yet, to be honest. They've brought in a couple people, but like nothing big. They've dropped more money off the books than they have invested. So for me, I don't want to spend any fucking money on this team. And it's just disappointing to see that they are such a well-run organization. We say this every time. They are such a well-run organization. They have gotten so close to many, many World Series appearances and wins in my life, and they just refuse to take the next step. I mean, last year was one of the best years as a Guardians fan or an Indians fan, whatever you want to call them, in a long time. And we were legitimately close to the World Series. So what do? They get rid of a bunch of the players that were on the team, and they're going to replace them with a bunch of unknown people and hope for the best. That's pretty much what they do. It's Moneyball all over again, and it's just disappointing.
Are they going to offer a PayPal, pay as you go, like 4 equal payments for $100 option?
I'm sure. Yeah, they have payment plans. They have $10 a month for the season. It's just they'll do anything to spend money. But the really fucked up thing too is just how much money they cut in the offseason. We'll get Triple G. We'll get Guardians guy Greg on here one day to talk about it again. I know he did last time he was on, but they cut Fantasy Camp, which he went to last year. They got rid of it. They claimed that they had issues with the location. They couldn't get the field or something like that, which according to Greg and his insider information is bullshit. They cut Guardians Fest, which fans love. It would have been going on like right now. They have all these players and ex-players come into town. They rent out like the Huntington Convention Center. You walk around and you meet all the players, and like there's all these events and fun shit, and it's packed. Every year it's fucking packed. Fans love it. Guardians got rid of it. Guardians were like, well, we got some feedback from fans. They don't want it. So we're going to do it like every 2 or 3 years. And people are like, who the fuck told you to get rid of it? Like, show us the feedback where people are saying they don't want it. Another thing they're cutting now, they said they're only doing the pregame show before home games. So they announced yesterday their new lineup of talent. Jensen Lewis is gone. He has drank the Kool-Aid, and everybody got rid of him. They ran him out of town for his right-wing takes. He got the boot. So they brought in Jason Kipnis is going to be on the team. Ben Broussard apparently is. For those of you that remember Ben Broussard, he was a first baseman for the Cleveland Indians way back in the day when the Indians sucked. That Indians team put out an album because they had a lot of players on the team that were musically inclined. So I think like Coco Crisp had a rap song. Omar Vizquel had a song. Ben Broussard is a musician, so apparently Ben Broussard is now the new post and pregame musical act for Guardians home games, according to the flyer. So let me pull it up. I have the picture here on my phone. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. But I thought that was really fucking funny. Yeah, here it is. So the 2025 Guardians talent lineup: Matt Underwood doing play-by-play, Rick Manning doing the color, Andre Knott on the field. Nothing different. Al Pawlowski is going to be hosting the pre- and post-game show. Kaylee Griffin is she's the backup on-field reporter. Cody Allen, the former closer, is doing the pre- and post-game. He's a pre- and post-game analyst. Ben Broussard is doing the pre- and post-game analyst too. And he looks like you have to look up the picture. He looks like a fucking crazy science teacher. Chris Jimenez, ex-player, is doing pre- and post-game analyst. Nick Goody as well, Austin Jackson as well, and Jason Kipnis as well. So a lot of former players are now pre- and post-game analysts. But again, the Guardians have announced that they're only doing the pre-game show before home games. So they're cutting money on that.
No thanks.
So they're just cutting money left and right. Meanwhile, one of the Dolans, I forgot his name, Mark Dolan, maybe something like that, is a politician, and they're dumping money into his campaign. So they're able to spend as much as they fucking want into that. But when it comes to the team, that should be their main focus. They're like, got to cut that shit. So
early predictions may even have the Guardians winning the division next year, but I guess they had that too last year, but we proved them wrong. But I don't know. I'm not excited about the upcoming season at all, at least not yet. So.
No, I mean, the Royals should be good. You're going to have Bobby Witt Jr., who legitimately is an MVP caliber player who could take that team to the next level. You have the Tigers, who overachieved last year, who went back and brought back Jack Flaherty.
I think they'll be good.
What's that?
Yeah, I think both Detroit and Kansas City are going to be fighting for number one right now in this.
And Minnesota's always going to be a decent team, so Minnesota should be right up there too. I think Chicago's the only team, obviously, that's going to suck, but it could be a tight four-way battle in the AL Central, and the Guardians have done nothing but deplete their talent pool, and I don't understand it. You just got to have a lot of faith in second-year manager Stephen Vogt and hope that the front office is going to, they know what they're doing and they have the right talent to come up and do it. But I'm with you. I've never been less excited for a baseball season, and we were a few wins away from the World Series. That's fucked up, but it's the nature of the beast. So we'll see what happens. All right, it is time for Just the Tip. Typically, Kyle would start this off, but I want to do my quick Just the Tip really quick because I saw a movie that, I'm not kidding you, is one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. It's probably hands down going to be my worst movie of the year for 2025. And that is a movie that just came out on Amazon Prime a couple of weeks ago. It's called You're Cordially Invited. It is a movie with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. When I saw the trailer and I saw that this movie was coming out, I was really excited. I was like, I fucking love Will Ferrell. Reese Witherspoon's a fun actress, so this is probably going to be really good. It was one of the worst things I've ever watched. I implore you, if you're out there, if you have the capability to watch this movie, watch it. Tell me what you think. I thought the acting of his daughter and her friends was just unbearably bad. It literally just made me fucking feel disgusted every time they came onto the screen. The writing was so stupid, and again, the acting from these people was just so fucking bad that I couldn't believe that. The other fucked up thing is this isn't just a Will Ferrell movie as an actor. His company, I forgot what it's called. It's called Gary Sanchez Productions or whatever. They always make his movies. They made this fucking movie. So he had a huge part in the development of it. And it is one of the worst fucking things I have ever seen. I invite everybody out there to watch it. Give me your thoughts.
We were going to watch
so
it the other
fucking
night,
bad.
and then I saw your little thing. I'm like, maybe we won't watch this movie now. So
there was a point where Tara and I looked at each other and there was 30 minutes left in the movie. And I was I'm like, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. This is awful. This is not a couple funny laughs here and there. There were a couple, but nothing memorable. And overall, it was the biggest hunk of shit that I've ever seen. And I want everyone to watch it. So please, if you have the time, take 2 hours out of your life, watch this movie, report back in a couple of weeks. Tell me how much you fucking hate it as well. I look forward to hearing from everybody and getting their reviews. So with that being said, now we will get into the actual Just the Tip. And of course, we'll let Kyle lead it off.
My tip is something I binge watched last week down in, where was I at last week? In Columbus. Basically just started from start to finish the new documentary on Netflix about O.J. Simpson. It's 4 episodes. They're about an hour and 15 minutes each long. The last one's an hour and 30 minutes. But I'll tell you what, man, I was obsessed with this O.J. Simpson thing back in the day. I remember watching The Verdict when I was in 8th grade. Like my teacher like rolled the TV in and like made us watch The Verdict. I thought I knew everything about the thing. And I'll be honest, after the first episode, I'm like, what the fuck? Like there's so many things that were never.
The Verdict?
What's that?
What year was the trial and all that for OJ?
5, I think it was 96.
Okay.
But there's so many things that were not introduced as like evidence, things that were done that were pulled and stuff that was like collected that was never introduced, people not interviewed. I mean, after the first episode of this documentary, you're kind of like, what the hell, man? It's crazy. But then it goes into episode 2 and it really talks about the defense that he built and what they did to undermine and what they made the trial all about, which got basically the jury kind of off its center of, axis and what a good defensive team does. Right. But there's zero doubt. I mean, after the last episode and you kind of hear kind of something that like the agent that used to be OJ's agent says, there's just no doubt that, that OJ did this. Right. Well, I mean,
100% killer, let's be honest.
There's nobody in there.
I should say, I always forget there was 2.
But no, honestly, just give it a watch. You'd like it. I loved it. And there's a lot of cool behind the scenes shit and stuff that I never knew before about it. Some inside interviews and stuff. But it's worth a watch. It's 4 episodes, 4 hours. I mean, don't watch it all in one setting. I had no choices in a hotel, but watch it if you get a chance. You'll like it.
Hell yeah, I'll check it out. My tip for this week is a movie that just also on Netflix. It was out in theaters also beforehand, but it's called Saturday Night. It is a retell of supposedly the original night of Saturday Night Live. So it's a story of Lorne Michaels getting Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, Gilda Radner, all these classic actors and everything from the original Saturday Night Live with George Carlin as the host. Basically, the show was created, and he had no idea what it was going to be. They didn't know that it was going to be like the way it is, and really cool. I don't want to spoil anything because, I mean, it's not really spoiling because it's all factual. But check it out. It was really cool to see the behind the scenes and like how stressful that night was and how they were literally like 20 minutes to being on air and the show almost got canceled because they were like, they couldn't describe it to the executives. So they were about to pull the plug. They let them do it. And now it's turned into a show that has been on for 50 seasons. So check out the movie Saturday Night on Netflix. And then if you get a chance, if you watch it before Saturday, this Saturday night, they're actually going to be airing the very first episode of Saturday Night Live ever with George Carlin and John Belushi and all them. Or if you want to, also, you can just go back and watch it. It's on like Hulu and shit. They also have all the Saturday Night Live episodes. I did that. After this movie ended, I went back and watched the original Saturday Night Live episode. And it was really cool. I had seen bits and pieces before, but I've never watched it all the way through. I am a huge SNL fan. I watch it every week still, constantly. I've watched it my whole life pretty much. It's one of those things that it's always been the same fucking thing from people that go, ooh, SNL's not funny anymore. It still is very funny. Like, if you go back and watch old seasons, you only remember memorable scenes. If you go back and watch full episodes, there's some really good skits, then there's some really bad ones. It's no different than any other year. I still love it. I love Weekend Updates, always funny. I like Colin Jost and Michael Che. I think they're fucking fantastic. So technically this is like a 2 for just the tip, because watch the movie Saturday Night Live or Saturday night, and then on Sunday night they're doing their 50th anniversary special on NBC. I think it's streaming on Peacock and all that shit too, but it's Sunday night. It's like 3 hours long, I think. They're going to have some of the biggest guests they've ever had. They're going to be bringing back old people that were on the show originally or throughout the years. It's a huge reunion anniversary special because 50 years is fucking awesome. But check it out. I'm a huge SNL fan. It's literally something I watch religiously every week. If it's on, I'm watching it. So check it out all this weekend in honor of the 50th anniversary of SNL.
I'll have to watch it. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow night because I'll be down in.
It's a good movie. It's like a little under 2 hours, but it was actually really good. And like Andy Kaufman, like there's guys playing Andy Kaufman and shit. I forgot he's part of it. So like really cool. Honestly, it's like just behind the scenes stuff is fucking awesome.
Cool, man.
Check it out. that's going to do it for us. As always, as I said early in the episode before Kyle came on, we are now officially in the off season, so we go back to bi-weekly. We always do an award show in the new year, and now that the Super Bowl's over with, we will probably do our next episode will more than likely be the Tabbies. For those of you that don't know, the Tabbies are our yearly awards where we make up our own categories. We tell you what we liked, what we didn't like, and it can be your favorite book, your favorite movie, your favorite show, your favorite sports moment, your favorite whatever, your least favorite movies, whatever. Like, you can make up whatever the fuck you want to give an award to. That is the joy of the Tabbies. So please feel free to check in a couple of weeks. We'll more than likely be doing the Tabbies on what's today's date? Today is the 12th. That would be the 26th. So
Mitchell's got 2 threes now. Just throwing it out there.
Mitchell does?
Yeah.
Okay, and Garland has 1, so I only need 2 more out of him. And apparently there were a couple Cavaliers that did not watch the Super Bowl halftime show and did not take away any messages because Max Strus and Sam Merrill are 2 of our top scorers, and they're not letting the black people thrive tonight. I don't understand why they're doing that. Strus and Merrill.
Black History Month.
That's a bold move by them to both be the leading scorers right now, but kudos to them for at least hitting their shots, because apparently everybody else is fucking ice cold, but we still have a 34-point lead right now.
We need to invite Tim on a show in February just to keep the classic going.
I do want to talk to Tim again. I love Tim. He was supposed to come on. Long story short, he was coming on a couple times for the picks, and then one week I texted him and he said, "Yeah, I'll be there for sure." And then I texted him the link and I gave him everything and ghosted.
Oof.
Didn't even say like, "Hey, sorry, I missed it," whatever. I think I even texted him. I'm like, "Hey, man, hop on whenever you want." And nothing. So I don't think I did anything to piss him off. I never would. I loved him, but he apparently wasn't feeling me that night. And I honestly haven't talked to him since. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he's mad at me for something. I don't know what I did. But I guess we'll figure it out one day. I'll hire a detective and we'll get down to the bottom of it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Kyle, safe travels coming home. And then we'll talk to you all in 2 weeks. Good luck next week with bowling. And we will have the Tabbies going. We will be talking a lot over the next couple of weeks, Kyle and I and George, to get the nominees set up. So thank you, everybody, for watching. That's it for us. We're going to let Kyle go to sleep and get some rest for his trip. And then I am going to go do the same because I still haven't recovered from my trip on Monday. So thank you all for watching. Cleveland, that was for you.
Later.